Let's get you the ground details that are coming in. As far as today's detailing is concerned, the Places of Worship Act, that will be taken up in the Supreme Court today. And this also refers to the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, because that had moved the Supreme Court, citing that this act should not be touched, in a way saying that this is, in a way, if you touch the act, it will lead to communal disharmony, asking the Supreme Court not to interfere with the act, citing disturbance in law and order with the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, also referring to the Sri Krishna Commission report of 1992 and the 1993 blast, where the Supreme Court in a short while from now will be hearing the case today on a batch of petitions challenging its validity. So to get more on that, we are currently joined by the petitioner, Mr. Vishnu Jain. Sir, good morning to you. We are expecting that the matter will be taken up in the court in a short while from now. As far as the petitions that challenge the Places of Worship Act, that will be heard in the Supreme Court. The Hindu side claiming that the act is an impediment to Hindus exercising their faith. Do you think that the Hindu side case is strong enough vis-a-vis the objections that have been raised on part of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, sir?
See, first of all, as of now, there has been no hearing in the petition of Places of Worship Act. Initially, when we had argued for the admission of this case, the notice was issued. And today is the first day when there will be an effective hearing in the matter. Now, coming back to the question that how draconian is the Places of Worship Act, I must tell you that so far as some sections of the society are trying to bring Kashi and Mathura within the purview of the Places of Worship Act and are trying to pose that Kashi and Mathura are a threat, so far as restoration there is not possible because of the provisions of the Places of Worship Act is erroneous. Because in Kashi and Mathura, in both the cases, the district court has held that in this case, the Places of Worship Act is not attracted. Now, that is one segment of it. The other part is that Places of Worship Act as it is, if someone goes through the provisions of Section 4 Surplus 2 of the Places of Worship Act, it takes away the right of judicial review, which is the basic structure of the Constitution. So I particularly feel and believe, and this is my legal opinion, that Section 4 Surplus 2 needs to be struck down. Section 4 Surplus 2 of the Places of Worship Act is unconstitutional because all those suits have to be launched for restoration of temples which are existing prior to 15th August 1947. And if any lawsuit has been filed for restoration of such temples, those lawsuits can't abate. So if Ram Mandir has been given an exemption and the legal battle can't continue for other places of worship, especially in various parts of the country where this factual aspect has not been gone into, then I particularly believe that Section 4 Surplus 2 is completely unconstitutional.
Right, but Mr. Jain, how do you see the Hindu side's plea for setting aside this contentious section of 4 Part 2, which also sets the cutoff date of 1947 and bars any change in the religious character of a place of worship faring in court, sir? Is there a realistic chance of the court striking it down, sir?
Yes, we have filed a petition. The name of the petition is Vishwabhadra Pujari Purohit Mahasangh. It is listed today in the Honorable Supreme Court. And we have specifically challenged the provisions of Section 4 Surplus 2 of the Places of Worship Act. And the Honorable Court had issued notice in the matter, and today the matter will be heard by the Honorable Supreme Court by a bench of 3 judges.
Right, but there are prominent Muslim parties, including Owaisi and the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, saying that the act is progressive and it creates an atmosphere of trust and harmony in the sections of society. So are they completely overlooking your perspective on the violation of rights from the Hindu side and the faithfuls? And is there resentment that it has bred in the largest religious group in the country, sir?
See, I particularly believe that the Places of Worship Act is a regressive legislation, because if someone says that secularism is the basic structure of the Constitution, but at the same time, we must not forget that right to go to the court and approach the court and get anything to the courts of law, and the right of judicial review is also the basic structure of the Constitution, as has been held in L. Chandkumar's case by a 5-judge judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court. So the point and issue is this, that how can you bring into a provision as draconian as Section 4 Surplus 2 of the Places of Worship Act, where you can say that you cannot approach the courts of law to restore the situation which was existing prior to 15th August 1947, because no Muslim scholar in the country can argue that they can exist, or a mosque can exist after demolishing a Hindu temple. So if there are characteristics of a Hindu temple which are existing prior to 15th August 1947 and they are existing till date, then why can't we ask for restoration of those places of worship? That is point number one. The other point is that kindly see that the places of worship at section 4 subclause 2 is a impediment so far as arguments of Hindu laws are concerned, so far as the arguments of rights of deities are concerned, because the Hindu law is very categorical and clear that once a deity, always a deity, and once a property is vested in the deity, it remains till the end of the time deity's property. So if there was an existing temple prior to 15th August 1947, then how can that characteristic be changed just because of some encroachment or just because a so-called invalid mosque has been created there? So that area is a little problematic, and I think if that legal position is clarified, then it will be the end of the matter.
Right, but as far as the Muslim body is concerned, because they have cited several examples of Jain and Buddhist and even Muslim places of worship in history getting converted into temples, they are questioning that how is it fair, and how far are we also going to go back in history, and many such restorations then need to be done if that will deliver justice or prepare injustice. So what is your idea exactly when it comes to certain changes do you want? Because they have been calling this act as unamendable.
So it is not just about correction of history. It is much more than that. See, the point is this, that if there was a pre-existing temple and it was vesting all the properties were vesting in the deity, then how can someone else come and make a mosque there and offer prayers there? That is point number one. The other point is that can any Muslim scholar in this country argue that you can demolish a Hindu temple and construct a mosque? And if you can't argue that, the question is whether it is Jain temple, whether it is Buddhist temple, whatever temples which have been demolished and it has been converted into some other places of worship, it has to be restored. It's not a question of secularism. It is not a question of how far back we are going in time. The question is that whether the Hindu law, whether the Hindu personal law will prevail or not. And for that reason, I'm stating time and again that this matter requires deep consideration and deliberation, and the cutoff date of 15th August 1947 in the Places of Worship Act is completely unconstitutional, because if there has to be a cutoff date, it has to be 1192 or more prior to that. If Muslim parties are so much affected and so much concerned about the Jain temples, then they must first take away their claim from Qutub Minar or the Quwwatul Islam Mosque, which is there right in the center of the Delhi, which says that it has been demolished after, and mosque has been created after demolishing 27 Jain and Hindu temples. So the question, Jain and Jain, Buddhist, Sikhs, they are all integral part of Hindu religion. And if you have demolished any temple, if there's an internecine fight also, it will be restored. We are arguing as a matter of principle that if there was a pre-existing temple, it has to be restored back. It doesn't matter whether it's a Jain temple, it's a Buddhist temple, it's a Gurudwara, whatever. If someone has committed any atrocity in the past, that atrocity has to be removed. And by virtue of Article 13, Subclause 1, as well as by virtue of Article 373, that law, that right has to continue and has to be restored back.
All right, because there are two sides of the story, Mr. Jain. Thank you very much for taking out your time and speaking to us right here on Times Now, because Mr. Jain has been calling the act as regressive inwards, but what the Muslim side has been calling it as a progressive act. Let's play down exactly what the two sides have to say. We'll play out exactly when it comes to Ashni Upadhyay, who is a BJP leader, and the sides of the Muslim side as well, what they have to say. Let's play out what the BJP leader's plea is. In 1991 law creates arbitrary cutoff date. The cutoff date, 15th of August 1947. The Muslim body goes on to say that the 1991 law that is beneficial in ensuring that peace in society. So they have been saying if you touch or if you make any changes to that law, it will create communal disharmony. BJP's contention is that Hindus have a right to profess and practice their religion, calling it as a fundamental right. The Muslim body opposes, saying that such frivolous petitions are purely political. So there is a political aspect to it, because this is when the fresh batch of petitions that were heard, even when it comes to the All India Muslim Personnel Board asking it to be a party of the said act. So when it comes to the right to restore religious property, that has been unfettered, because they have been also claiming that there are several temples, but they have been seeking specific temples, as had been also talked about by Dr. Swami. He was speaking to us 2 times now in a short while from MAC when it comes to the contention, saying that there are site-specific that they have been asking the Supreme Court to look into. As far as the AIMPLB is concerned, that even issuing a notice will create fear in Muslims. So they have been also citing what happened post 1992, the Babri Masjid, when it comes to the 1993 blast that happened because of the riots, and we are looking at such kind of communal disharmony, is the claim that has been put forth by the Muslim body, saying that any changing the religious character of a place of worship will actually lead to communal disharmony and will disrupt peace in the society. So straight away going across to Harish now. Harish, it's a matter of time when the Supreme Court will be taking up the case.
Yes, that's right. Very crucial hearing going to come up as far as the Places of Worship Act 1991 is concerned. At 10:30, Chief Justice led bench will be taking up around 10 petitions filed challenging the constitutional validity of the Place of Worship Act, and prominent among the petitioners are Subramanian Swami, Vishnu Jain, and Ashwini Upadhyay. And so at 10:30, the hearing will be happening. And as you rightly said, All India Muslim Personal Law Board, Jamiat Ulema Hind, they have filed counter petition saying that Supreme Court should not entertain this petition, as it will even issuance of notice has created a instilled fear in the mind of Muslims who are still recovering from the demolition of Babri Masjid, and also the Ayodhya verdict of 2019 by the Supreme Court, and therefore it can also trigger communal rights in the country, and also the scrapping of this act might lead to litigations against countless other mosques in the country. But the petitioners have argued that this particular Place of Worship Act takes away the rights of Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, and to reclaim their religious places, and goes on to validate the...
Absolutely, because the Muslim side has been warning of a certain backlash and saying that even issuing notice will create fear in the Muslim community and will open floodgates of litigations if plea is entertained by the Supreme Court today. For the moment, Harish, thank you very much.